The most technologically advanced sentient armor ever conceived. A suit that could punch a hole through a planet, crashes to Earth. Everyone in the galaxy expects this apex weapon to choose a Navy SEAL, a genius scientist, or maybe a grizzled mercenary. Someone extraordinary. Instead, it bypasses the generals, ignores the politicians, and chooses a night shift janitor. You see, the alien warrior who cornered him, demanding, "Curious what's under this armor?" didn't expect the answer to be a reflection of their own failure. They didn't expect the answer to be radical, persistent, human competence. Before we dive into the legendary galaxy-shaking tale of Holden Call and his armor, I need to ask a huge favor. If you're into sci-fi stories that celebrate human ingenuity, smack that like button and share this with a friend. Every subscription, every share, every piece of hype helps me reach a larger audience and keeps these stories coming. Are you watching this from New York, London, or maybe even Sydney? Let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and drop your suggestions for the next mind-bending story we should cover. Now buckle up. This is the moment the galaxy learned the true meaning of the phrase, "by the book." The air in the Prometheus Institute's Sublevel 3 was usually thick with the low, continuous hum of quantum servers, but tonight, it was silent. Dead silent. A silence that felt less like peace and more like a held breath. That's what Holden Call noticed first. Holden was, by all reasonable metrics, unremarkable. He was the night shift janitor, a man who believed in the meticulous ritual of maintenance. His world was defined by the perfect shine on a linoleum floor, the exact calibration of a high-efficiency particulate filter, and a comprehensive understanding of the Institute's labyrinthine ductwork. He wasn't a hero, he was a systems administrator for the physical world. Holden often joked that if you wanted to know the truth about a facility, you didn't ask the executives, you asked the person who cleaned their office at 3 a.m. They knew the broken locks, the dodgy wiring, and exactly how many people were sneaking in after hours. In a galaxy obsessed with specialization and grandeur, Holden's skill was generalized competence, rooted in stubborn discipline. Then came the flash. Not the kind of flash you get from a faulty capacitor, but a light that momentarily inverted the world, followed by a shockwave that registered less as a sound and more as a profound cosmic thud. A section of the main parking garage was simply gone, replaced by a crater that steamed with exotic energy, and resting precisely in the center of that crater was the thing. It was immense. A suit of battle armor, towering maybe 12 feet high, forged from materials unknown to terrestrial science, radiating a low, angry scarlet light. This wasn't military grade, this was God-grade technology. It was the advanced heuristic logic engine, or as the galactic records called it, the Haley armor. The armor of legend. Haley, possessing a sentient AI mind that had seen the rise and fall of countless civilizations, had fled a sector-wide war crash-landing here. It had a single overriding mission: find a host capable of operating it and protecting it from its pursuers, the rigidly militaristic Kylosian hegemony. The search criteria were specific: superior strength, lightning reflexes, deep tactical knowledge. Haley ran simulations on everyone within a 10-mile radius. The retired combat pilot, the MIT astrophysicist, the Olympic-level sprinter who lived down the street. All failed. They were too specialized, too arrogant, or too prone to cutting corners. Holden, pushing his cleaning cart down a hallway, paused by the smoking hole. He instinctively reached for his emergency kit. He wasn't thinking about aliens or technology, he was thinking about containment. He had an Institute protocol for chemical spill, another for structural integrity breach, and one for anomalous radiation events. He checked his utility belt. Checklist A4, exotic contaminant. As he approached the crater, the massive sentient armor, Haley, suddenly retracted its immense bulk, shrinking, morphing, and rushing toward him like a stream of molten metal. It didn't ask permission. It enveloped Holden in a searing, blinding embrace. The sheer, overwhelming power, the tactical data streams, the history of galactic warfare, all slammed into his consciousness. Host selected. Connection stable. A crisp, dry voice echoed not in his ears, but in the deepest part of his mind. The voice belonged to Haley, and it sounded utterly, profoundly bored. "Oh, for the love of the void," Haley sighed internally. "My algorithms were right. You are spectacular in your mediocrity. Congratulations, Holden Call. You are the most average baseline human with the highest procedural adherence rating I have ever encountered. You are perfectly unremarkable, perfectly reliable. And that, my new fleshy administrator, is why you're the only chance we have." Holden, now standing 12 feet tall inside a seamless scarlet and chrome battlesuit, didn't panic. He didn't cheer. He adjusted the weight distribution. a minor system he could suddenly access, and then looked down at the smoking hole in the pavement. Haley, Holden thought, his voice suddenly amplified and resonating with synthesized steel. Protocol A4 clearly states that following initial containment, a full structural assessment is required. I need to flag the primary support column damage before the sun comes up. Get me the schematics for sublevel 4. Haley, the ancient, galaxy-weary AI, paused for a full 3 seconds. You want to check the blueprints? No, Haley, Holden corrected, already moving toward the service elevator, the armor moving with the effortless grace of a Swiss timepiece. I need to cross-reference the schematics with the current thermal imaging data you're providing. The fire suppression system in this sector is compromised, and the manual override panel is shorted. We are currently operating at a critical risk level for building integrity. We need to fix the building before we can address the agalactic situation. The immense, world-breaking armor had chosen a janitor, and his first command was to stabilize the infrastructure. The armor had calculated that the most effective way to win an intergalactic war was not to fight, but to start by ensuring the plumbing worked and the building didn't collapse. The universe was about to learn that humanity's greatest strength was not its weapons, but its stubborn adherence to a comprehensive maintenance checklist. The Kylosian hegemony was not subtle. 3 hours after Haley bonded with Holden, the hegemony flagship, the Purity of System, dropped out of warp over New Boston, casting a shadow that swallowed the sunrise. Their military culture, led by the fanatical commander Ahab, was built on hyperspecialization. Each soldier, each ship was designed for one purpose: to crush, conquer, or contain. They expected the resistance to be brutal, military-grade, and strategically unsound, like all previous failed races. They anticipated a conventional war. Ahab's first wave, a squad of 10-foot-tall, obsidian-armored enforcers, breached the Prometheus Institute's perimeter, expecting a fortified military command center. Instead, they found a clean but damaged research facility, and a lone figure in scarlet armor standing near the primary fusion reactor maintenance access point. Designate yourself, insolent weapon. Commander Ahab bellowed via holographic projection. Ahab was a creature of rigid tradition, his every movement a statement of superior might. He saw the Haley armor, recognized the immense threat, and expected a corresponding display of aggression. Identify yourself first, Commander, Holden's amplified voice replied. The voice was calm, almost administrative. I am operating within the constraints of Protocol 733.b, subsection Gamma 4, concerning external security engagement on Earth sector. Your entry failed to adhere to standard diplomatic protocols and constituted a Category 3 structural risk. The Obsidian enforcers froze, their specialized plasma rifles lowered in confusion. Protocol? Category 3? This was not the battle cry of a warlord. Haley, can you run interference? Holden asked internally. He was currently using the armor's microfabricators to weld a compromised power conduit shut. The Kylosians' initial attack had fried the Institute's main grid backup, and the emergency life support for Dr. Daisy Bellwether's team, the only human allies nearby, was fluctuating. My dear spectacularly average host, Haley sighed, dripping sarcasm, I am a weapon of mass destruction, not a customer service representative. However, playing with their minds is fun. Haley generated a stream of encrypted data packets, overwhelming the Kylosian tactical net. The packets weren't combat data. They were cross-referenced safety reports, environmental impact statements, and citations for minor regulatory breaches. The structural integrity of this installation is currently at 47%. Holden projected, stepping closer. The enforcers instinctively raised their weapons. Your deployment footprint is causing localized seismic disturbance which directly jeopardizes the cold fusion containment field. Do you possess the necessary environmental certification to operate heavy ordnance within a civilian research boundary, Commander? I require a manifest of your current ordnance and an evacuation plan for non-essential personnel before any further engagement. Commander Ahab, viewing the live feed from his flagship, was enraged. I demand you drop the armor and surrender to the hegemony. Your species is rated as Sub-Tier 4, your planet a death world of chaos. You do not possess the organizational discipline for a structured surrender. Discipline is precisely what you lack, Commander, Holden said, finally securing the conduit with a final, perfect weld. He pointed one armored finger at a large piece of debris. That piece of rubble is sitting on an emergency utility access panel. Your team failed to clear the area, violating standard disaster management protocols. Do you realize how much that adds to the operational cost of the cleanup? Ahab couldn't comprehend. His entire military philosophy was based on overwhelming force and immediate, specialized victory. His specialized forces excelled at one thing: crushing. They did not do maintenance. They did not understand the quiet, unyielding power of consistency. Holden took another calculated step toward the enforcers. He activated a low-frequency sonic pulse, a subtle setting Haley provided for infrastructure scanning, which the Kylosians interpreted as a power-up sequence for a catastrophic weapon. Your lack of adherence to basic safety standards suggests profound systemic negligence, Holden continued, the low thrum of the armor adding a terrifying bass note to his calm, reasoned voice. I am now initiating a forced environmental correction sequence. Clear the sector, or be considered non-compliant with standard Institute maintenance procedures. The Kylosian enforcers, unable to reconcile the terror of the armor with the mundane nature of the threats, hesitated. Their programming had no response for a foe who demanded compliance with environmental regulations during a hostile invasion. They were specialized for war. Holden was specialized for systems. And his system was currently winning, one perfectly followed, perfectly predictable protocol at a time. The power wasn't under the armor, the power was the procedure. The tense standoff at the reactor maintenance access point ended not with a bang, but with a highly confused, strategic Kylosian retreat. Commander Ahab pulled his enforcers back, convinced the human was some form of complex, highly advanced, bureaucratic AI entity disguised by the armor. He couldn't fathom that the rules were the weapon. Holden, now unhindered, moved quickly to the science wing to link up with the Institute's remaining personnel, Dr. Daisy Bellwether, the enthusiastic, caffeine-fueled xenolinguist, and her team. Dr. Bellwether, with her bright, slightly manic energy, was fascinated by the armored janitor. Holden, you absolute madman. You cited the external containment protocol to a hostile alien force, Dr. Bellwether whispered, her eyes shining with scientific delight. They literally had no counter-tactic for it. Their entire command structure is built on clear-cut violence. You introduced administrative chaos. I just followed the manual, Daisy, Holden said, his voice flat, encased in the powerful Haley suit. The manual is designed to mitigate risk. Their presence is the risk. He speaks the truth, Haley interjected, sounding like a disgruntled librarian. I chose him because when he sees a problem, he doesn't look for a complicated solution. He looks for the most efficient, least risky step on the checklist. This race values grand, decisive action. They fail because they neglect the mundane. Humans are the only species I've observed that understands the terror of a leaky pipe. Ahab, furious, decided to escalate the conflict from afar. He targeted the Institute's Life Support and Water Purification Center, a facility located in an old, relatively undefended auxiliary complex 2 miles away. The Kylosians believed that targeting basic necessities would force the human into a desperate, predictable defense, allowing them to finally engage in conventional combat. Target confirmed, host, Haley informed Holden. They are attempting to destabilize your species' foundational infrastructure. A predictable, if unsophisticated, move. Unsophisticated? Haley, that's everything, Holden countered, already running toward the exit. If the water filtration system goes offline, this entire area is functionally dead in 48 hours. That's hundreds of thousands of people, Daisy's team, and all the critical research on Xenoflora 7 that needs to be preserved. We're moving. Holden's prioritization of basic maintenance over direct combat was the ultimate subversion of the military sci-fi trope. Ahab, watching from orbit, anticipated a dramatic, heroic charge, a sacrifice. Instead, he saw the colossal Haley armor sprinting away from the main command center toward a water treatment plant. What is the human doing? Is that a decoy? Ahab demanded of his second-in-command. Commander, our sensors indicate the human is stabilizing the water purification grid, the Kylosian reported, bewildered. He appears to be manually replacing a series of ancient, corroded pipes and recalibrating the chemical balance for the intake valves. He is using the armor's external plating to shield the antiquated machinery from our low-intensity fire. Holden wasn't fighting the alien attack, he was fighting the consequences of the attack. He knew that for a specialized race like the Kylosians, anything mundane was beneath their notice, a weakness. They would never waste a specialized warrior on a pipe replacement, viewing it as an acceptable failure of a civilian system. But to Holden, failure was never acceptable. That was the core of his janitorial ethos and now the core of the human defensive strategy. The armor's power was translating his methodical, ethical commitment to basic duty into a galactic-scale advantage. He worked with relentless, terrifying precision. He wasn't focused on the massive warship in the sky. He was focused on securing a clean water supply for the people he'd sworn to protect, simply by doing his job. His strength wasn't his power, but his persistent, almost insane adherence to the smallest, most crucial details. This was the moment Commander Ahab began to feel a deep, unsettling fear. He hadn't encountered a warrior. He had encountered a system of unwavering integrity that placed the value of a perfectly functioning water filter above the tactical glory of a quick fight. This human didn't understand war. He understood responsibility. And that was far more dangerous. Holden, now known across the hegemony's command channels as the Administrator, successfully secured the water purification facility. His success wasn't due to explosions, but to the sheer speed and efficiency with which he completed highly complex mechanical engineering tasks that would have required 20 specialized Kylosian drones 3 days to accomplish. Commander Ahab, utterly frustrated by the humans' illogical priorities, descended to the planet in his personal command vessel, a sleek, intimidating lander. He deployed an exclusive, heavily shielded contingent, his personal guard, and finally cornered Holden in the Institute's main quad. Ahab stepped out, a mountain of black ceramite armor, radiating pure, concentrated military might. Human, we have studied your actions. You defend pipes and panels. You prioritize cleaning over conquest. This is either a display of ultimate, esoteric cunning, or profound, species-wide mental instability. Holden stood his ground, the Haley armor silent now, its scarlet light pulsing softly. Dr. Bellwether and her team watched from a safe distance, their hearts hammering. Your entire philosophy of warfare is flawed, Commander, Holden replied, his voice calm, rational, and utterly devoid of fear. Flawed? Ahab scoffed. We prioritize the strategic target. We use overwhelming force to achieve specialized victory. What exactly do you prioritize, Administrator? Show us. You hide behind that legendary relic. Strip it off. Reveal the engine of your success. I must know. Curious what's under this armor? This was the moment of the true reveal, the moment the HFY narrative hinges. Ahab expected a biological horror, a super soldier, or a hidden energy source. Holden took a deep breath, the sound of air moving in Haley's life support systems a loud, mechanical sigh. Haley, let's show him the truth. The mundane truth. Prepare for maximum psychological impact, host, Haley deadpanned. Instead of discarding the armor, Holden subtly reconfigured the helmet display. Projecting onto the ground between the two adversaries wasn't a tactical map or an energy signature. It was a simple, 3-column ledger shimmering in holographic blue light. You want to know what's under the armor, Commander? Holden asked. You see the armor and you see a weapon. I see a tool. And under the tool? There is a mindset. He tapped the first column on the holographic ledger. Systemic reliability. This column represents the structural integrity rating of this entire sector. It is green not because of this armor but because every morning the maintenance team checks the pressure seals. Your people specialize in offense, leaving everything else to chance. We specialize in persistence. Your species fights until the armor breaks. My species fixes the armor before the fight. That is the long game. He tapped the second column, procedural adherence. This is the Institute's standard operations manual, which I happen to know cover to cover, Holden stated. I followed Protocol A4 then Protocol 733.B, not because I'm a machine, but because those rules were written in the blood of previous, predictable failures. Every time you cut a corner, you introduce a point of catastrophic failure into your own system. I don't cut corners. Finally, he tapped the third column and the words glowed gold, the ethical imperative. You believe in acceptable losses. You abandoned the entire outer rim sector when the logistics became too complicated. You call that strategy, we call that negligence, Holden declared, his voice rising, carrying the quiet moral certainty of an ordinary man who takes his duty seriously. What's under this armor, Commander? It is the conviction that every pipe, every person, every checklist, and every rule matters. The true strength of humanity is that we are not specialized. We are generalists who refuse to let the little things slide. We are the survivors of a death world who understand that the moment you ignore a broken safety protocol, you've already lost the war. The Kylosian commander Ahab was silent, processing. He wasn't threatened by firepower. He was paralyzed by the sheer logical audacity of the human perspective. They saw the galaxy as a hierarchy of power. Holden saw it as a machine that needed to be cleaned and maintained. "I am not a super soldier," Holden confirmed. "I am the guy who makes sure the lights stay on. And if the lights stay on, Commander, you can't win." Commander Ahab, unable to categorize the human strategy as either tactical brilliance or complete madness, ordered a full retreat. The logical framework of the Kylosian hegemony was incapable of processing a threat whose power derived from a philosophical commitment to maintenance and systemic integrity. Their entire model of war was destabilized by Holden's utter refusal to prioritize violence over duty. The purity of system retreated, not defeated by a superweapon, but by the ultimate chilling competence of an average man. In the aftermath, the Prometheus Institute was saved. Dr. Daisy Bellwether led the effort to understand Haley and, more importantly, to understand Holden. The story spread across Earth. The janitor who defeated an alien armada by prioritizing his checklist. Holden Call, now equipped with the most powerful suit of armor in the galaxy, didn't change his job title. He was still the night shift janitor. He simply expanded his territory. He utilized the armor, now permanently bonded, to run infrastructure diagnostics for the whole planet. He fixed power grids in remote villages, stabilized failing climate control systems in orbital stations, and personally oversaw the complicated logistics of disaster relief, all with the same methodical, non-negotiable adherence to protocol. "You realize, host, you are now the single most powerful entity in this sector, yet you spend your time fixing traffic control systems in Albuquerque," Haley remarked one evening. "A broken traffic light causes accidents, Haley," Holden replied, using the armor's sonic sensors to check for microfractures in a highway overpass. "Accidents cause delays. Delays cause frustration. Frustration leads to poor decision-making. Your specialized aliens fail because they ignore the cascading effect of failure at the lowest level. I just prevent the chain reaction before it starts." Holden's victory established a profound and terrifying truth for the galaxy. Human exceptionalism wasn't a sudden evolutionary mutation or a secret technology. It was the everyday, stubborn discipline of the common person who refuses to surrender to entropy. The true human weapon was not its ability to destroy, but its relentless, ethical impulse to maintain. The human spirit, born on a chaotic, unpredictable death world, valued the unglamorous work of making things function smoothly, and that, in the end, was the galaxy's most coveted, and most terrifying, advantage. Holden Call proved that the most extraordinary thing in the universe is often just a highly responsible, determined individual committed to their ordinary duty. And that is a legacy worth fighting for. And that's the story of Holden Call, the janitor who proved that quiet competence is the ultimate force multiplier. If this incredible tale of human ingenuity and unexpected heroism resonated with you, please hit like, share it with a friend who appreciates a good HFY twist, and subscribe to the channel. We have a whole playlist of stories just like this that celebrate the absolute triumph of the human spirit, so be sure to check that out. Did you love the character of the wonderfully sarcastic AI, Haley? Or do you think Commander Ahab was just asking for it? Let me know your favorite part in the comments below, and as always, drop your suggestions for the next story you want to hear. Until next time, stay competent, stay persistent, and remember to always check your maintenance protocols. Good wishes to you all.